we might be live now. Let's see. Think we're up. Let's see.
Good.
Think we might be going live right here. So we'll see if we get a notification. Yeah, I just got a notification. Cool, we're live.
Okay.
All right. Well, Rayvon, thank you so much for joining. For those who are just joining on, I'm John from Jumpers Junction, and we have the 2022 USA Long Jump Champion with us, Rayvon Gray. Rayvon, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Nah, thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
All right. We will have one other person joining us on here. We will have Anderson from the YouTube channel, The Final Leg. He's running a little bit late, but he's going to pop on here in just a second.
Okay.
And you'll see it pop up. Hopefully we can get the tiles lined up. If anybody's been kind of following along with these live sessions, I know we always have some technical issues at the start. It's just how it goes. So hopefully we can get these figured out and it goes smoothly. But for now, let me just double check one thing and then we can get started. All right, we're going to be set up. Okay, so for those who are just watching, Rayvon and I have actually met before. So it was actually 2 weeks ago. Was that?
Yeah, I was about to say about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was out at LSU shadowing Todd Lane, who is your coach, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so that's where you're out. You're training out at LSU. I know you have a long history with LSU, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. About your collegiate career, outstanding collegiate career. But for starters, the big thing right now that's looming is what's coming up, right? So tell me about what big event's coming up and why are you pumped?
So, in 2 weeks, maybe more, a little bit less, probably about a week and a half, we have USA's coming up right in Eugene, Oregon. And this is kind of like where all the hard work kind of comes to show, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really like years and kind of even say months of just training, trying to get your mind right, your body right, really for essentially this meet.
Yeah.
And ways to think about, you know what I mean? Like obviously there's the big one right after, but it really comes down to like it starts here.
Yeah. So last year it was also at Eugene, right?
Yes.
And so the competition itself was pretty cool, right? Because you weren't doing too hot at the start, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay, so for those who haven't seen it yet, I think there's some videos out there floating online. I wish I had it. I wish I was able with technology to just pop it up right here. Maybe in the future I'll learn how to do this. But so what were you jumping at the beginning of the competition?
So maybe I probably had one jump, maybe around 770. You know what I mean, like 775, maybe around there. Definitely, I don't think I was in the finals.
Yeah.
Going into before it, so yeah. So I think probably around 25 mid, 25 low, going into it.
So what happened?
So it's really funny, and for me to really explain it, I think I really have to go back until last year.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So last year was my first time competing at like a USA's trials meet, and it was happened to be the Olympic trials, and yeah, it was like a really it was a pretty good experience. I think I didn't end up making the final, and I was like, next time I come back here, I want to definitely make sure I lock in and get something done. You know what I mean? So going into the fast forward now, 2022, last year, I'm on the runways for my third round jump, and I remember just telling myself, like, I'm not trying to have a repeat of that feeling from last year. Like, I just never want to, you know what I mean? I just don't want to feel that feeling in my gut. Like, I just don't want that. Like, it can't happen. And then, yeah, that was pretty much that's where it went from there. I was able to just lock in, get my run right down, and then hit the board where I needed to.
Dude, that's awesome. And you jumped 8.19 meters.
Yeah.
That's your PR too, right?
Yes. Legal.
What a time too.
Yeah.
Have you had any like wind aided PRs past that?
I had like a 820 probably back in college.
Oh, nice.
Around there, yeah. But in terms of wind, no, nothing really like too big, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that you're in 8 meters, like that is what everybody dreams, right? Everybody dreams to be an 8-meter jumper, and
yeah.
I don't think people really realize how far that is, right? So 8 meters is I wish I used to be able to do this right off the top of my head. But it's 26 feet. What, 4?
Probably two, maybe. Yeah, I want to say if 8 starts, yeah, say it's 26 part starts at 26.2, 26.3.
26 feet for the U.S. and if you're outside the U.S. then you use metric. But 26 feet, right? That is a huge jump. And here's what's cool about it. So when I was out watching y'all, right?
Yeah.
So you have a hang technique that you go through, and you actually have a really quick free leg pullback, right? So as soon as you jump, your drive knee pulls back real quick, and you go into open.
Mm-hmm.
But what's cool is when you come up, it literally, if you were to take a freeze frame, which there are pictures out there, I mean, it's like you're going to do a pull-up, which is like, I mean, it's such a cool thing. And so few people can actually get it right. Because you either go from a sail, and then you think the hitch kick is the sexy thing, so everybody kind of jumps into the hitch kick, right?
Yep.
If you can really do the hang correctly, I mean, it's one of the coolest things, because what's the reason we do long levers, right? It's to counter for rotation. But the problem is everybody wants to just like hold here, and then they can never get their arms up and then sweep through. When I was watching our practice, I was like, dude, I gotta go show some of the kids I'm coaching this. And so literally that afternoon, I had like 3 hours of coaching that night. And so I went out, and I had one little kid he's 8 years old, and he just broke the world record for 8-year-olds. I think I told you about him.
Yes, it's crazy.
And he's trying to do the hang, and I went and showed him it, and he was like, "Oh, I got it." But then he went out and trying to jump, and he just like held there too long. He couldn't pull it through, and I was like, "Hold up, you're not there yet. Think you gotta, you're not in the air long enough to do that."
Yeah.
Which you gotta always, like, everybody always has to realize as you're going through. So they got some white noise. I turn the volume up. Turn the volume up. There's some white noise. I don't know how I turn the volume up here. Maybe it's this thing. I don't know if this is better. Hopefully that's better. If not, do what we can. See, there's always technical issues coming through here. I want to hold off on kind of some of the later conversations until Anderson hops on, but I do want to talk about your collegiate career.
Okay.
Right, so you joined LSU at 2017? Is that right?
Yeah, that 2017, like right after I graduated 2016. Yeah, so I'll say.
What were you jumping in high school? Because this is what people always want to know. Because a lot of our athletes that follow me on here, a lot of them are high school age, and they're always trying to get to the next level, and they're trying to figure out like where they can kind of be placed as far as collegiate tiers and etc. So what were you jumping in high school, just to get an idea?
I was jumping like 25 feet in high school. I had a PR of 793, so it was like 26 feet in the armory in my home. Yeah, so
it's nuts.
Had a little indoor home field advantage, so that was nice. But so 793 coming out of high school.
And how long were you jumping?
I started out my freshman year of high school. I honestly started track my freshman year of high school. I was playing football before then. And
really?
Literally came out, started jumping, and kind of just stuck with it.
What was, for you, what do you think was your, I don't know what you were jumping like your freshman year, but what do you think allowed you to kind of like in high school compete at such a high level?
Okay, yeah. So I would definitely say going into it, I started jumping like, I think my freshman year was probably like 21, and then I went up by like 2 feet, like progression-wise every year basically. Right. And then I feel like, I don't know, man, just coming into high school, it just got easier as I got more athletic, as I started training a little harder. As those things started coming together, everything else got easier. And that was like the biggest thing for high school. Things were struggling. A lot of high school struggled with, it's like maintaining speed, carrying the speed off the board. And then once I really just started focusing on that.
And it just kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
So you got to LSU, and 2019 was a big year for you, right?
Yeah.
Won the championship, right? You jumped 8 meters for that too, right?
Yeah, it was probably just under. I think we had like 790 in the Birmingham complex, so it was like 798, probably around there.
Golly.
Yeah.
So we had Will Williams on here last time we did this, and I asked him this question also, because when you get a bunch of athletes that are all competing at a high level, like literally the elite level, because a lot of times college in the United States is kind of like the feeder to the global scene, right? Because you've got athletes from all over the world who come to the U.S. to compete at one of the universities. Because, I mean, whether you like it or not, it's not like the NFL or the NBA where you have these beautiful facilities when you get to the next level. When you get to the next level, I mean, you have the college universities that are the facilities. Like, that is kind of, when you think of like a global sense, that's kind of like the highest point, right?
Yeah.
Even when you get to the next level, most people are at a university competing, right? So, when you get to this, when you get to these like NCAA championships where you're literally competing against the best athletes in the world already. I mean, yeah, there's a few outliers, but you have people already. How much of it is kind of like, does it have this global world athletics, championship style scene, and how much do y'all actually interact, or is it kind of siloed and y'all kind of keep to each other and don't want to be conversing with the enemy too much?
I think it's really funny that you say that, because I feel like when it's not championship season, you're going to see us talking all the time. You know what I mean? Like, we're like brothers out there. Like, I know you brought up Will. Like, Will was just at LSU earlier this month training with me and Javon. You know what I mean? So it was just like that. So I think like we all look at each other and we always give each other tips and say, hey, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. But you definitely do get that feeling when it's championship season that everyone's kind of sitting like, all right, it's definitely time for me to lock in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody goes in the zone.
Yes, exactly. There's definitely still love out there, which I do agree. Like, you probably will see, maybe you might see a little more talkative in other events, but I definitely feel like, because everyone's just so locked in, like, how can I get, what do I need to do? You know what I mean? How can I have the least amount of stakes out there?
Exactly.
Basically.
So we're gearing up for what, 2 weeks? July 6th through July 9th. Is that 2 weeks? Oh my gosh, that's already almost there. So we're gearing up for that. So far this season, you've jumped at a few different meets, and you've put out some big jumps, right? You had LSU Invite back in was that May?
Yeah, probably like mid-May.
Yeah, May. You jumped 7.84 meters, and then Chula Vista, was that last weekend or two?
Yep.
Yeah, last week in Chula Vista, 8.06 meters. Were you jumping with Cam Van?
Yeah, I actually just met Cam, and it's good people.
Good,
shout out Cam.
He's a good dude, man.
He's
a good dude.
Yeah, he's really cool people.
That was Chula Vista. How you like jumping out there in Chula Vista?
So I'm not gonna lie, it's like it's really different. I do think everyone's watching this should try to eventually, when you get to the unattached level, you should try to get a chance to check out Chula Vista, just because it's a very relaxed, calm state where you still go out there and have to feel the energy from other jumpers to go out there and jump far. You know what I mean? You have energy coming from like a regular anytime big meet, but like it's almost like you're just cooling in someone's backyard having a track meet.
Yeah.
It's like the best way to explain it. So
true.
So you're kind of in your own comfort zone. So I feel like that's what makes it like a really good place to jump.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So now you're zoning in, you're preparing. When you headed out there, what are you doing right now in prep to get yourself prepared for USA's? Like,
that's a great question. Yeah. So like now, last week I was really focused. Even when you were there, I think you see me like really trying to focus on just take off the board, right? Like running off the board, trying to get the best possible angle off the board. And now, I've been working out for about 2 weeks. Now it's kind of like, okay, let's put it all together. Let's carry the speed. Let's bring it with speed, right? So now I'm just kind of doing up-tempo, kind of like run-throughs, up-tempo, short approach run, really that. Just trying to get them quick and a little more intense. Might not do probably do 4 to 5 jumps because they'll put some time on the body. But as long as I'm just getting the intensity and the reps, and I think that's like the biggest focus for right now.
Absolutely. Hey, what you said is really interesting that I think a lot of people don't understand is you really don't jump that much.
Yeah.
Like when you're younger, right, and you're I don't know, you're 4'5" and you weigh 60 pounds, 70 pounds. I mean, you could jump a lot because it's not that much stress on the body because you don't have all this much mass. I mean, you're making contact with the ground. You're probably not jumping as far, right? So there's not as much impact versus when you're our size, that's a lot of impact over and over and over again. So it comes, and also by the time you kind of reach our age and our size, right, you've already learned some of the base skills to kind of hone in on, okay, I know kind of what to do in the air, your proprioception, you understand spatial awareness. But you really don't jump that much. It's more of making sure that you understand how to apply force at the right time, right? Timing, right?
Yeah.
What are your biggest changes that you've seen kind of throughout your career and your mindset of, or what were some of the challenges or understandings as far as like, okay, I got to jump as much as possible because that's the only way to get better versus like now it's just understanding the timing and stuff.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. Honestly, I feel like coming in freshman year, it's always like, oh, I just want to jump. I'm telling Coach Todd, like, oh, I need to jump. I want to jump. I want to do runways. I want, short approach. And I think, well, like, by the time you start getting to your junior, maybe some guys could probably get there to the sophomore year, honestly, but around their senior year, you start to realize that, like, you start to realize the toll it takes on your body, right? So, like, as you get older, obviously, like, that's, like, the first thing you realize. But then, too, you also realize, like, you kind of don't really need to put that much force in your body every week, There's other ways that you kind of implement it. There's many other plyometrics and boss jumps that you could do to implement, kind of get a similar feeling. But I think the fresher you are and just the clearer you are and quicker you are to able to actually just get on the track and do it, it's like it's more beneficial rather than so hitting it every day, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you on that 100%. So you're getting up there, and I keep getting text messages seeing when if Anderson's when he's gonna hop on. But no, it's our mic's okay. Our mics are working. my wife's texting me. She goes, "Hey, your mic was fuzzy. Oh no, it's good now. It's good now." I'm like, all right.
No, it's good to know.
I gotta put this on silent so it's not just off. Okay, so we're getting up to Eugene. I have never been to Eugene.
Oh really?
It's on my. I'm gonna hopefully this year maybe. I don't know, but
yeah.
I want to go so bad just to see the environment, right? It's never been my path. But what's that stadium like, man? Just tell me about it.
So I'm gonna give you a little brief history. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about both because the old Eugene was also really historical too, which is really funny, and it's historical in kind of different ways. Like the old Eugene, like you walked in, you look up and you see like the people and everyone's like screaming, and the atmosphere is just like, wow, this is track and field. You know what I mean? Track on USA, like this is actually track and field. And now the new Eugene, I say definitely gives you a similar feeling with that historic, track town. But then it also gives you that, like this could be like a Diamond League level stadium. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like this is a pretty big pro level facility. Just walking through and how even they do a really good job at like USA's and just how they have the athletes walk out and I think like just walk through and out warm ups. Mm-hmm. It feels different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just feels different.
That's awesome. I love that they're starting to. It was completed in 2019, 2020?
Yeah.
2019 for the okay. When I think about the U.S. versus globally, right? Some of these giant track and field focused stadiums, and in the U.S. we just don't. I mean, we have Eugene, but we just don't have it, right? And so you think about track and field in general as a sport and its popularity. As a fan, as an athlete who's a fan,
yep.
It's awesome to see that we're starting to kind of progress in that direction. But you realize, especially like when you travel out and you see these other stadiums, and you're like, oh man, we're not at the level of. We don't have the stadiums and the I guess but popularity of the sport, which brings the environment, the equipment, etc. But yet we've got, in my opinion, the best athletes in the world. So So there's a disconnect, and it's weird. And I don't know the path. I can talk about it sometimes, but
I mean, I think a lot of it also just comes from like the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like you say, environment, or like, you know, you didn't really. I just feel like it's the same thing. Like, yeah, you may not want. It feels bad to say that like the atmosphere is just different, but in the truth, it's just this. It's just
yeah.
You know, European countries, it's just a big difference. So I just love that when you go over there and you kind of see how it is and you see it being implemented back over here. I think it's just good for the future.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree, but I think it's getting more popular than it used to be. Like throughout the early 2000s, I feel like track and field kind of took a plummet as far as its popularity, and then Bolt kind of brought it back up.
Yep.
But then it kind of tailed off, and then I feel like, I don't know if it was COVID or what, but all of a sudden, like the World Championships and then the Olympics, and then you have like these like back-to-back World Championships.
Yep.
So without that lull year, I don't know if that's what it is, but you're just getting like all of a sudden
a lot more attention, right?
A lot more attention, right? And so I'm excited about it, and hopefully we can keep progressing the sport, developing as it is.
Yeah.
But you're going to be jumping out there with quite a few athletes out there this year at USA's.
Yes.
We got Dendy, Harrison. You jump with Harrison all the time, right?
Practice every day.
Yeah, every day. Cameron Crump from Mississippi State, Jeremiah Davis from Florida State, two of the kind of big
collegiate boys, I would say.
Athletes that are going to be out there. I think there's a few other UCLA athlete. Kimani Briggs.
Yeah.
He's going to be out there. He's been crushing it. Jaron Lawson's going to be out there. I'm excited, man.
It's been a while, and he's been jumping well too, especially with the time he's had off. So I think that'll be really exciting to kind of see him just.
It's
I think at the time, you know, a jumper gets to come off injury and kind of lighten like the track back up. It's just really nice.
Oh man, awesome! Stephen McCardle. Every time we talk, I feel like we always miss Stephen McCarter, and then I'm always like And if you will go back and watch some of these live videos, we'll talk about athletes, and then we'll move on from a subject, and then. Like Cam Van was on here one time, and it was just like, wait, we can't forget about Stephen McCarter. Like every time we forget about Stephen McCarter, and we're like, wait, we can't forget about Stephen. So maybe next time I'll have to get Stephen on here, so that we don't.
No, I think you definitely need to get Stephen. Yeah,
I gotta get him, dude. Every time I'm like, oh wait, we can't forget about Stephen McCarter. So, but yeah, dude. So there's a lot of athletes out there that are competing at a pretty high level this year, and it's kind of been that way for the last couple of years. And NCAAs were wild this year. I mean, they're putting out some big jumps, but they're also pretty young and inexperienced too. And I know I got a 140-something pound dog who he can knock over something. So you have basically these young guys who are competing at a high level, and then you've got the more experienced people like yourself, and all the way up to Jaydon. So, you know, you've got a lot of different skill set or experience sets, but then you've got different levels of talent. So how much do you think experience plays into going to some of these meets? Like you've already competed at Olympic trials. You've already competed at USA's and won. So that gives you like a level of confidence, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. I think experience plays a heavy role just for like your mindset, right? It just, you go into the meet with that experience, you just not so much wondering what's going to happen. You're just a lot more comfortable. You're a lot more relaxed. You're in your own zone. You're able to kind of control the competition a little more just with experience. When you don't have that experience, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. So in reality, you know what I mean? You can't really control as much as you don't really know what's going to happen. But I will say, with that being said, when you're talented, it's a little different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're talented and you put in the hard work, and I would say for a lot of the college kids, and even for myself, I wish someone would have told me this at the age I was at. Like, you put in this work all year. You've been going to meets, you know, like I would say at a pro level, we actually get a few more breaks. But like, we're not jumping every week, you know. And I just just go out there and do what you've been doing if you're in the college. And I wish that's what I would have been told. You know, I mean, my sophomore, junior, senior year, whatever, I was trying to just go out there and do what you've been doing. And I feel like the same thing. So I would say with the experience, it definitely plays a big role. is definitely a big plus and advantage. But these college kids, they've been in and out of these competitions. I think it kind of balances out just a little bit.
Yeah. Don't change it up. Just keep going. Look, I said there would be some tip, tricks, and analysis, and you just gave some gold right there. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing if Anderson's going to hop on here. Okay, he might still be delayed. So you and I might just have to go through the world leaders and talk about some of the later stuff. But before we do that, I want to talk about just in general long jump. Okay. Yeah. So as a fan, okay. Now, and I also want to take off your athlete hat.
Okay.
Put the fan hat. Okay. So long jump and triple jump. Let's single out those two because those are horizontal jumps.
Yep.
Triple jump, we've seen kind of a big progression in recent years of just some outstanding marks, and it's kind of been that way for a while, right? There hasn't been a huge drop off in talent, I guess you could say, in the triple jump. It's been there was a few years where there was some breaks, but you've had pretty much the same people jumping consistently, right?
Yep, on the same thing.
In long jump, there's been a lot more versatility.
I would agree.
So you always look back at the 1990s and the early 2000s. I don't know if that's going to be viewable on the screen, but Anderson is going to be coming. Well, we'll see. But you always look back at the 90s, right? And I'm sure some of your major long jump role models are from those eras.
Yep.
Right? So you think about those athletes and how they were able to jump these ridiculous distances for so long. Carl Lewis, like how he was able to go for 10 years undefeated.
Yeah.
Mike Powell jumping almost 9 meters, and then if you think about all the times, I think 9 meters were broken on fouls.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, there was athletes for so long at competing at such a high level, and all of a sudden now it's getting harder and harder to get into that 28-foot barrier, right? And I've always trying to figure out what's the reason, and I don't know the answer. As someone who I don't think I was ever on that path, right? I think everybody's got a potential of how far they can get to, and I realized I was never on that path. But now as a fan, I can always speculate about what's going on in the bronze sense. But do you think that 28 as a consistent at World Championships, at the Olympics, do you think we're working towards getting at that high level again?
Yeah,
I've worded that correctly, but
no, I mean it is a great question, and I found myself asking, from the spectator point, like I ask this question all the time. Like this is a question I honestly feel like not enough people talk about.
Yeah.
With that being said, I will say I do think we will start seeing these numbers again, especially with who we have on the circuit now and who's running and jumping. I think a lot of it just comes down to being able to put it all together. And I just think with some of the way these meets go, and really just the timing of a lot of things. I just like we just came off COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's so many layers always to everything.
Worlds, and then there's worlds outdoor, and then you have world indoor, and then you have what I mean. And then before you know it, we're already getting ready for the Olympics in Paris. So I just think
I know.
I just think it's just so.
It is.
If it was just to slow down just a little bit, you know what I mean? Just give people just a little more time, just a little more breaks to figure things out. Just have them get a little more comfortable within the run. Just make it so they're able to carry that, add just a little more speed to the jump, just carry just a little more further. I think it will make a difference. You know what I mean? So I definitely do think with like the competitions coming up now, and we should start getting back into that motion of bigger jumps. You know what I mean?
I agree with you, man. I think we're on that path. To me, you always got to speculate why were things moving. And I did a video on this, but my audio quality is pretty bad on it. Yeah, there's the overlying PEDs, right, that you kind of talk about from back in the day.
Yeah.
That may or may not have actually happened. But then there's also like the cultural response of like the pressure that was put on the athletes, and then there's also competition breeds competition, right? So if certain athletes were jumping or running certain marks, then all of a sudden you rise to the competition.
Exactly.
And whether that initial competition was because of some other factor or whether it was because of just general pure athletics, like all kinds of stuff, but there's so many little variables, and I think you said the same thing. I think we're getting. I can see this kind of rise.
Yes, it's starting to get condensed in, and people are starting to put things together.
I see it, man.
You see younger and younger people jumping 840, you know what I mean, 830 plus, and I just feel like people are starting to figure it out.
People are figuring it out, man, and I don't think it's just long jump. I don't think it's just triple jump. I think it's across the board. All of a sudden, you're getting a lot more world records, American records, every country records getting broken more and more. The whole sport, I think, is gaining this boost, this popularity, and the popularity might be a result of maybe the rise in social media or technology that's boosting it, but also I think the athletes themselves are just taking everything in stride and using technology to kind of produce these next results and seeing things and studying. I'm excited about it, man. I could ramble on about this for hours and hours.
I agree, though. I 100% agree.
All right, let's see what Anderson said. All right, he might not be joining us. He might. If he hops on here, cool. But we'll step away from long jump for a second, and now you get to be a YouTuber here with us.
Oh, I love this.
And now we're moving into just general talking about the jumps. And we can also not just talk about jumps. If you want to talk about sprints or distance or anything, we can talk about it. Typically we stick to the jumps here, but let's start with triple jump.
Yep.
Because I think there's a lot going on in triple jump. Did you ever do triple jump?
Yeah, I did in high school a little bit, and then kind of just didn't really transfer it over to college once I got here.
Yeah, stick to long jump. You're pretty good at long jump, man. So I think you chose a good one.
But yeah, I did triple a little bit.
Okay. So then you understand, like what's going on. I want to talk about the women's side for starters.
Okay.
Because, man, in the college scene, more was just given more and more every week. That's my little pun right there. But breaking record after record and then breaking her own record and breaking her own record, Jasmine Moore was just dominating the sport, right?
Yep.
And not just in triple jump, but long also, right?
Yep.
And then you got on the opposite end, you've got Yulimar Rojas, who's breaking the world record and then breaking her own world record and creating these incredible distances in the sport of triple jump, women's triple jump. But also they're both long jumpers too, which is also pretty cool. So, man, tell me your thoughts about what you're seeing out there for someone who gets to kind of go out to these meets and see them out there.
It's funny, and I think Jasmine has been set in stone to kind of pretty much do what she's, you know what I mean, pretty much since out of high school. And I just think, like you said, competition kind of rises competition. So you have this NCAA, basically this NCAA program where everyone's just kind of fighting for the top. And then it's even putting on numbers across the world. You know what I mean? Like people are looking like, okay, now she just jumped. Jasmine just went 46 feet. Let me go see what I can do. You know what I mean? So I really think that's what it really that plays a big role in it. And then in terms of like Jasmine's just one of those people that come once in a lifetime. You know what I mean? Once in a while. It's the best way to explain it.
Do you think? So on the other spectrum, Yulimar Rojas. I mean, last year she didn't get to jump in long jump because of her shoes.
Yeah.
Which, man, maybe I should do a video on that. but because I did a video on Tintagalo on his shoes and that whole
the colorway, right?
yeah, the Tintagalo that. But she could have had an opportunity to
do both.
double, right?
At Worlds. Yeah.
So now you've got another athlete who has that, and actually there's quite a few who actually like top 5 or 6 female long jump triple jumpers are actually dual, right?
Yeah.
Which we don't see as much on the men's side. Why? You have any thoughts on that? With women, you always see a dual, but you don't see nearly as many dual horizontal.
I want to say it has to do with how technical the triple becomes at the elite level for, and I'm not saying it doesn't become elite level for a girl, or a woman as well, but just for a guy, like the transition from for me, like myself, a college boy, you know what I mean, high school boy to a college man.
Yeah.
It's just different triple jumping.
Yeah.
And having to be able to hold the speed throughout the phases, and I think that's usually why you don't see as many long jumpers be able to go back and triple.
You think,
or vice versa.
So like, this is kind of getting into some technical, and I know you kind of like to talk technical, so I appreciate you doing this with me. But so when we talk about long and triple, right? When I have some young athletes out there, they want to run from the same approach and same speed that they typically would for long jump, right? And I always advise, especially starting off, right? We don't want to do that because their body isn't ready to handle those that increase of stress and those stressors. Like after the increase in speed and velocity, when you make contact, if you're going faster, is your leg going to be able to hold out, right? Are you going to be able to hold your body through the motions with the increased speed? So do you sacrifice speed for control, or do you suffer control for speed? And I think you made a good point there with men, right? A lot of long jumpers are fast, right? You have to be fast to be able to jump far.
Yep.
Same with triple, right? Triple jumpers are fast, but the control component.
About to say they're just way more controlled.
It's just so controlled. I mean, I've seen some little clips out there of some elite triple jumpers doing balance drills, and you're just like, these guys are gymnasts pretty much as far as like their ability to have body control.
No, I agree.
Versus long jumpers. I mean, you go out there, and as long as you're getting fast, as long as you can get the emotions. I mean, I just oversimplified everything so much right there. But that's interesting to point out the difference between men and women.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely do think it's just a lot of the control, and there's a lot of 8-meter guys who if you watch who come down very controlled, and I think those guys could triple jump. If you take like Jeremiah Davis for once, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He comes down the runway. He's coming down really fast, but he's very controlled. I think that's why he's able to go and triple jump. I think he got 3rd at NCs or 4th. You know what I mean? Yeah, so he's able, and I think that's why he's able to go turn around and turn that into a pretty decent triple jump. It's really just, I think it's just being able to control your speed, which a lot of long jumpers probably, even myself, probably find that just a little more hard to do at the triple jump.
Yeah. It's, this is something I hadn't even thought about. I didn't make any notes on this. This is just off the wing, but as we started talking about it, I was like, man, that's interesting. I was like, why are there more women dual than men? It's an interesting concept. Maybe some grad student will write a paper on it for their thesis one year. Men's triple jump. We got to talk about Jaydon Hibbert, I think.
I think it would be almost disrespectful not to at this point, right?
I think you're right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, well, he's 18, right?
Yeah.
He's 18. He's jumped he's world lead right now, 17.87 meters. And he did that off of a 6-step, right?
Yeah, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it makes sense.
We kind of talked about it last time about he's doing it off 6-step, right? So is it him being prepared or him not wanting to overdo his body because he's preparing for Worlds, or is it because of his young age he doesn't want to sacrifice that control? I kind of think it's the latter. I think because he's so young, he's still working on it. But until I meet him and talk to his coach, I won't know the answers. But the fact that he can do it
Yeah.
off of such a short approach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was out there watching you and Javon jump. Y'all were doing 5 steps, right? So 10
Yep.
total strides. And y'all were popping off 24 feet, right? I think that's what we were measuring out, right? 20, mid 24s, close to 25s off of a short approach. So that's still a good 2-ish feet from your what you're jumping in long punch, which is just insane to think about, right? So if anybody's watching this, I want y'all to go from a 5-step approach or 10 total strides, and then see how far a 24 is, and that's what they were doing. So go check that out if anybody's watching this. It's pretty insane that they were able to do that. But the fact that this kid's doing this from such a young age,
and such a short
approach, is something we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Right? If you think of Jonathan Edwards, he had a long approach.
Yeah.
Same thing with everybody who's kind of come up the line through it, right? So
I've done it with a really long, maybe 20 steps out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And you have an 18-year-old comes in freshman year. I mean, he's been doing stuff before he got to Arkansas, so
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't know that either. But comes in and he kind of just goes off it, sort of goes all year. You know what I mean? And I think it is crazy, but for him, for some reason, I don't know. Like I talked to a lot of other triple jumpers. You know, I had a few triple jumpers on my team from just being at LSU, and a lot of them say like it just makes sense. You know what I mean? And it's like, what do you mean it makes sense? Like he's only going from half his approach. He was like, yeah, bro, but like you really did think about him getting up to speed and how much he's able to control it and carry the speed. That's the real impressive, is how he's controlling the speed off the board. You know what I mean? Everyone's talking about how he's only doing it from a couple steps, but he's not losing any speed. He's never losing speed.
Yeah, it comes down to the control again.
So, yeah, I think it literally comes down to like, if you're able to control it, I guess, in the triple jump, not up, I guess. If you're able to control it, you could kind of go off like however far you want. You know what I mean? As long as you're able to get up speed and kind of move through the board, that straight kind of shows.
I agree with you, man. And the other cool thing about that is out at Arkansas, the jump squad out in Arkansas, you have a whole bunch of Jamaicans, right? And in Jamaica, the track and field culture is just, it's tremendous, right? Everybody absolutely adores track and field. It's a huge sport over there. Versus here in America, it's like 5, 6, 7 down the line, right? Versus there, it's a major sport. So not only do you have the kind of like that environment, that culture, but also when you're there in Arkansas, you've got a bunch of other elite jumpers who they're on the long jump side, but you've all of a sudden got this camaraderie from your home. Also, now you got in the jumps world. So I always wonder like how much that plays in on having that comfort, right? Having people kind of from his hometown versus, or not hometown. I think they did go to school with a couple of others, right?
Yep.
I always wonder like how much do you think that plays into what all the Arkansas Jamaican athletes are doing?
I think it plays a big number. I'm not gonna lie, 'cause like I said, it goes back into comfortability. You know what I mean? And then also their pro group is also like, I don't know if you guys follow like Track Wired, like you know, they have some pretty good guys on the Jarian trains there. They have Q, another long jumper there, and then they have Tara. And so I think they're always around that type of energy, and I think that's really the big benefit that they're getting out of that. And also, when you're able to just go into practice and actually compete, you know what I mean? Like if you wake up today and you're going to hopping on the runway and you're like, I want to be better than this person, even though he's my best friend or even though he's the guy I'm looking at every day. It just gears you up differently for meets than it does when you just don't have that type of intensity in practice. I just think it's really important, especially at a pro level when you're not competing as much as the college kids. I think you really need that kind of intensity.
Oh, I agree with you. You're sideways, by the way.
Arkansas got that. I'm sorry about
that. No worries. So then I want to piggyback off what you just said then to you being at LSU.
Yep.
Right. So y'all have pro athletes out there that are out there practicing and going through their workflow mindset. They can see how y'all visualize, how y'all prep, how y'all get into your zone outside of just how y'all train.
Yep.
Then you see LSU having these breakthrough performances, right? So,
yeah.
How much? I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? Having these elite athletes, I think, train at some of these universities, kind of transfers down.
Yeah, and I think it's really good at LSU. I could actually speak from like a personal experience because I go there every day and work out with these guys, and it's a different when you get to like I said, I'm doing runways with Rayvon, right? Mm-hmm. And for people who are not, what I mean, he's like one of the best dual jumpers in the world today. You know what I mean? So having to come from that, having to compete with runways, and then line up on the blocks, and then you get on the blocks with like Rime Gotson, you know what I mean? You have Vernon out there running around the track, and it's just it kind of gears you differently.
Yeah.
From me being a jumper, like okay, I just did what I had to do on the runway. Now I have to relock back in and make sure I'm ready to get out and sprint. Because if I'm not, I'm gonna be getting looked at pretty bad. You know what I mean? So it's like I said, it just plays different. It's just a whole different atmosphere.
Who was that? Was there anyone out there training when you were in college? Like any pro athletes out there?
We had DeMar Forbes.
Okay.
And, be a big Jamaican long jumper back in the day, and he was kind of like my guide and my way in my views of like how to be a pro athlete or just how to move forward, even growing up. So that was really cool.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing. People underestimate how much having a positive role model and a guide can improve your general path on life.
I agree.
It's tremendous. So if anybody's watching this and you don't have someone that you look up to or someone that can be a role model, just go see if you can find someone. It's super important. Don't think that you always have to go out this alone. Call ends in 10 minutes. Uh-oh. Let me see if I got to upgrade. All right, we might only have 10 minutes, so it might kick us off here. Okay, so we'll move on. Women's, we already talked about men and women's triple jump, long jump. The Indian crew out there, you've got two athletes that have put out big jumps this year, Jeshman Aldwin and Sri Shakan. India's popularity, track and field's popularity in India is growing significantly. So it's pretty cool to see all of a sudden India's got a lot more elite jumpers. And that Jeshman Aldrin, I've seen that jump. That's a pretty cool looking jump. I mean, it's a little unorthodox.
It is a little unorthodox, but
it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, he's bringing a lot of speed, and he carries a lot of, like, if you look at his takeoff leg and how he's just leaving the board and how he's staying behind, he's moving through the board really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I think most people kind of forget to watch a long jump. Like, we always point out, but like what everyone does different. You know what I mean? But if you really look at what everyone does the same, you kind of see why they're at the top or why they're jumping what they're jumping.
That's a very well said statement.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And then on the women's side, Michaela Smith, she put off a 7.08 meter jump.
Yep.
But Tara Davis Woodhull does have a larger jump, but it was wind aided by, I don't know what it was, 3 or 4. Or no, it was 2.1. So it's just over the limit. But the women's side's going to be interesting this year.
I've been liking the amount of attention, or, you know what I mean? Like, they're bringing...
Oh, yeah.
They're bringing some attention, you see, between Tara and Q, and just going through the deep.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's what we need, a little more of that in track and field, so especially in the jumps, too. So
I agree with you, man. Speaking of jumps, Javon Harrison's out there, 2.33, but he's tied.
Yeah.
Two other athletes have jumped that. I just think that's pretty cool that you have 3 athletes all kind of at that level. What do you think? You think Javon's got it?
Yeah.
I think you have to say yes, otherwise he's going to get upset with you.
Yeah. I was waiting to see how you were going to ask me that. I think the coolest thing about Jaydon is a lot of people forget that this man is, still working on 2 events at the time, right? So like he's still hitting the runway days and still hitting the shorter push days of long jump. And honestly, he practices high jump, but like he doesn't really get to focus on it. So I would love to see when he's able to obviously get long jump out of the way and like do what he needs to do. But I'd love to see what he's able to do when he's able just to put his focus in the high jump and he doesn't have to worry about another event. Like a lot of people forget about that. He usually goes into the meet, especially championship meet, worrying about 2 events.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And a horizontal and a vertical versus.
Which is a pretty different
components.
Matchup.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man, and it's pretty exciting. I saw his Puma video. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. All right, moving on from high jump to pole vault. Casey Lightfoot, you saw he broke the American record in pole vault with this. What did he jump? 6.07 meters. I think he broke 6.06 meters was what he broke. So just 1/10 further. But I love seeing pole vault is one of the only ones that literally you can control how much further you go. We've talked about this with what Mondo's doing. He's out at LSU practicing every so often, so you get to see it.
Yeah, it's my boy.
But,
brother.
But the fact that he can go just a little bit higher, then just a little bit higher versus as a jumper, you can't control. You can't control if you're just barely going a little bit further. So I think that's what makes pole vault so unique. And right now it's a great time to be a pole vault fan. There you go.
With the catch, huh?
Good catch.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Mondo came for his freshman year, so me and him got like really, really close for the few times he was here. And I just feel like it's definitely a really hard event. Like after I'm actually hearing it, when I need to actually coach pole vault, and he's usually the guy who I'm asking questions to, and he told me what I need to know. And it's like, wow, this event is really hard to understand and really hard on the body and really hard to control. It seems hard on everything. Yeah. And the fact that they're able to just stay controlled, stay focused all year long, I find that pretty crazy. And of course, I have Mondo like going towards the end of the season, but a lot of those guys are some freak athletes.
Oh, it's wild. It's a great time to be a pole vault fan. It's cool.
I would agree.
It's cool. And then final thing we'll talk about is I think it is about to kick us off. I don't know how much time we have left. Let me see. 5 minutes. Final thing is, do you think we're going to see any records, either American records or world records potentially, either at USA's or at the World Championships this year?
Yeah. It's always weird about the jumps because, like, I swear you can never guess the jumps. Like, the jumps are really, you know what I mean? Like, one day it's like, oh my God, someone jumps really, really, like, okay. And it's like, wow, a new facility record. Like, it usually comes out of nowhere. But I do say the sprints, I feel, some records are really endangered just because of.
I think a lot of records they have to be.
You got to take. I mean, I was looking at what it takes just to make the 100 just for the Trials USA's, and it looks like you got to run like 10:01, 10:02. You know what I mean? Just to get in. So I definitely do think with Noah Lyles coming off for the 200, and you got Fred, and I just think those guys are ready to push each other to a whole other level, and I think we'll see. I would think I would definitely see 1 or 2.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for that. And then finally, well, I was going to talk about scheduling wise, but I didn't update my little sheet, so it'd be pointless. So after USA's, what are the next? When are the next big events coming out for people watching this?
So, USA's, right after USA's, there is. I think we have. I'm going to Canada. I'm going to be jumping at a meet in Canada. There's a Curry Jerome meet. That's going to be really nice. There's a few Diamond Leagues towards the end of the year, like in between USA's and World Champs. that you would not want to miss. There are definitely going to be some big meets. A sneaky meet that no one might not see coming is there's actually the Pan Am Games. And I don't know if some people don't really know, but the Pan Am Games, it's a really big kind of like a gathering. It's almost like a mini Olympics, really. So the Pan Am Games, they're actually pretty late this year. They're in like September.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when you are usually when you're watching cross country, usually when you're watching cross country, you don't really have track. Now this year, you could look through, you should have some pretty good competition towards the end of the year.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Diamond League events, we've got long jump. You're going to have... Where's long jump? Lucerne is this weekend.
Yep.
I think you got men's long jump. At Stockholm, you've got women's long jump. Then, let's see some other big ones. Monaco, you got women's. London, you've got women's. Zurich, you've got men's.
Yep.
Shenzhen, you've got women's. Brussels, you don't have long jump. And then, obviously, Eugene, you've got everything. So,
yeah,
man, it's exciting. It's exciting. This year is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the best time to be a track and field fan right now. There's going to be a lot of track and field action coming through next few.
I agree with you, man.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, hey, I want to say thank you very much for joining me on here. Anderson wasn't able to make it, but maybe we'll do a makeup or something, and we'll get Anderson on here.
Yeah.
But I want to say to you, absolutely wish you the best of luck at USA's. Go crush it, man. Do exactly what you're doing. Call's about to end, so it looks like it's going to kick us off, whether we want to or not, man.
All right. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Take care.
Now I got to end it. End stream. See y'all later.